Okay, looks like we are officially live. Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Talk About It Tuesday. And Jeff Smith coming to you from Pure Bowling here in Ephrata, PA. And this week on the program, I'd like to welcome DV8 national staffer and obviously a friend of mine from the New Jersey area, Matt Russo. Matt, how we doing tonight?
We are doing very well, Jeff. Enjoying the weather in Florida after coming from all of the snow and coldness in Illinois. I found my way in Florida in the beautiful 60-degree weather, so can't complain.
Yeah, it's pretty nice down there. If you caught a segment, I have a sweatshirt on now, but I am still living with the tan underneath here that I got in Florida a few weeks ago. Now, when I was down there for a week, I wasn't bowling, I was playing golf, but we hit like a week where the weather was 85 every day, and it was pretty warm. But can't ask for better weather down there. So looks like
Yeah, I mean,
you're in the hotel room or Airbnb or something at the moment.
yeah, we're actually living pretty well here. We got a couple houses throughout the time that we're here for the PBA tour. So actually, this week we're in Orlando at the moment. We're staying at a beautiful 8-bedroom, 5-bath house with a movie theater and a wonderful heated pool and all this crazy stuff. So actually, all of the guys I'm staying with are in the movie theater right now. We're gonna watch the Laker game later on tonight. So it's been a lot of fun. We got a nice place on the water last week, and then Tampa, we're staying at a relatively close place to the bowling center. But I'm in a sweatshirt now because it's freezing in our house, but it's warm outside, so it's a nice balance.
Yeah, it's great to get away, and obviously coming from New Jersey and then Illinois, it's a nice little break to get away from the cold snap, and you can call yourself a snowbird now. I believe that's what the technical term is for people who go to Florida at this time of the year. But regardless of fact, we're here tonight in the program, and I always love bringing on national staffers, to kind of talk about some technology and balls available in the market, but we're here to talk about a pretty special one that's made quite a buzz out on the PBA Tour, specifically during the regional players championships and the shows there. But we're here to talk about the DV8 Damn Good Verge. And yes, I did swear. Swear words are coming back. It's the cool thing to do again with the DV8 brands. And we'll hit the tech stuff here real quick, and then we'll get into the meat and bones with Matt, because we want to hear what he thinks about this thing. So real quick, for the tech people out there and the individuals that are looking for that, this is different than the original Verge and the Verge Pearl. Okay, the core numbers in this are a little different, where they brought the differential down, hence why they call it the Threshold MD, which is the medium differential. So this one's going to be 2.467 and 037 diff versus the originals, which had 049, slightly higher diff. And they kind of did that by they made the body of it a little fatter, and it's not quite as tall core wise to kind of maintain the numbers you wanted to see. And then all of that is wrapped with the Insider Max traction cover. And if you remember, the Insider Max was used on the Intimidator Solid, so it's a super strong cover with a medium differential core on the inside, and it makes quite the combo. So got that one out of the way. 500, 1500. But Matt, talk to me a little bit about this ball. Let's talk about the motion. What are you seeing with this thing?
When I first signed with DV8 back in January, I missed out on the Verge. I thought that ball was super good when I was watching it, and I was like, that's definitely a stronger symmetrical piece that was pretty versatile. And then when I got to Michigan to do the ball video, I just looked at the ball and I saw the purple color, and I was like, yeah, this ball's going to roll really good. And then I got to throw it, and I was super impressed. It's a very smooth, symmetrical piece that we've got in our line, something that we've been missing. Yeah, I know I haven't been there for very long, but I was with Ebonite back in the day, and I also threw some Brunswick before that.
Mm-hmm.
But as I've been around the game, I noticed that they've been missing some smoother, symmetrical balls that other brands were just succeeding at. So when I threw this one, I thought it was absolutely incredible. It's really good as far as surface changes go across the lane, whether it's shiny or dull. But out of the bots, like you said, it's got 1500, I believe, out of the bots, which isn't a lot of surface, but it's not enough surface. Pits up in the mid lane very, very well. And then it's smooth off the end of the pattern. I noticed I can kind of roll it and keep it in front of me, and then I can chase it right. and get my hand around it, and it still reads that mid lane spot, and it doesn't overhook a lot. It's more of that smooth motion off the end of the pattern. And then shiny, essentially, it just stores a little bit more energy. It's still got that strength and that cover and core to pick up in the middle part of the lane. But it's very continuous when it goes through the pins. Talking to a couple other guys, when Michael Davidson threw it on the show at the Players, I thought it rolled incredible. Kind of comparing it to like a phase 2 that's been really successful for Storm. I think this is going to be that piece for us that's going to be in the line for a long time. Obviously, the Verge was very popular, but now throwing it with a one solid color, adding that mica in there to make it just roll a little bit better, it kind of just makes it hit a little bit harder, hook a little bit more. But this ball is super smooth. It's got a really good color to it. And it's kind of a ball that I look at and I'm like, I really want to throw it, but it looks really good. So we'll wait till the times come out. So I'm excited to see it roll at the World Series. We're bowling on 4 different patterns essentially. And this ball is probably going to be one of the first balls out of my bag on any block because it's just that versatile.
Right, and that's important. And I think you hit the nail on the head there where you talk about versatility, and with multiple patterns coming up, any player, no matter what tournament they're going to, always seems to have that ball or, a ball or two in the bag that seems to be the pattern, helps to figure the pattern out, right? So I know a lot of the guys are going to use this one to kind of give it a baseline, especially when they're figuring out their front to back movements and what they're looking at before they look at anything left or right, to get a read of what the lane is giving them. And I did catch on, and hopefully everybody else did there. Matt obviously has more than one of these in the bag, and I think you mentioned one pretty much maybe box, and you're right, it's 1,500 on top, it's 500 underneath. So again, it's another one of those pieces where you have kind of teeth underneath it at 500, goes right to 1,500. So the one thing about that we talked in another program was it helps to make the ball not lane shine quite as quickly when you're not having something like, for instance, the original Verge, which was 360, 500, I think there was 1,000 or 2,000. That lane shined a lot quicker because you didn't have those steps, right? You had too many steps in between. You go 500, 1,500 doesn't lane shine. But I think you made mention to it. You did get a little, whether you brought the surface up on one of them or shine one up a little bit. Did you do that all with Aberlon, or did you use compound, or what's kind of your school of thought on that, Matt?
With some of these symmetrical balls or the stronger cover balls, I like actually to use lane shine. I think it just fits into the pattern better. Using some of that compound, I think that kind of makes the ball a little bit too shiny. And now you've got to hit it with Aberlon, and then you don't get essentially what you want. A natural shine would be just letting it lane shine. The first one I drilled, I kept bots. That was the one I threw for the video. And then I got home, I drilled another one. Very similar as far as layout goes, but that one is just a tad shinier, and it rolled even better to me. Really good on 49 feet going up the lane, and then really good on 39, 40, kind of hooking it a little bit. So I'm somebody who likes to move right and see my ball shaped down the lane. So it's definitely a piece that allows me to do either or, depending on what the lane's giving me.
Good. And, for the individuals out there, obviously, Matt, very accomplished player, Team USA. In fact, you won team trials last year in 2020, correct?
Yes.
I know you gold medal, about 4 or 5 gold medals. I don't want to miss any. So a pretty, younger guy, but very accomplished. But when you look at that too, like your school of thought, okay, Matt, and obviously being a two-handed player, when you're drilling bowling balls for the first time, are you one of those players that essentially likes to start with one favorite layout? Or are you an individual who, sticks to just a few layouts? Or are you kind of all over the gambit?
I definitely am not all over the place. I am somebody who does ball layouts based off of shapes. That's how I see my ball motion. That's how I've always seen it, and it's what's something that has worked for me. So a lot of them is based off of shapes. I've probably got 2 or 3, if maybe 4 layouts that I use across a bunch of balls. One pin down, just different lengths from my PAP, and then 3 pin up layouts, just higher pins or lower pins based off of where I want to, what I want to see my ball do down the lane. But a lot of it has been 4.5, 4 3/4 from my axis. Basically puts the pin right above my ring finger, just to see kind of what the balls do compared to one another. I think that's a good baseline. It's essentially majority of the balls that I drill are very similar, because I know that that's what the shape is going to create, and then I can kind of pick and choose based off of that. When I picked my arsenal for the World Series, I kind of put a couple balls against one another with the same layout. They were very similar balls. And just whatever one I thought rolled better to me or was more versatile was what I went with. And essentially comparing this ball, it was a Hero Solid, a Knockout, and an Obsession Tour. And people will be like, yeah, that ball's asymmetrical. But if you look at the intermediate diff, it's actually low, which makes that ball relatively symmetrical anyway. So picking and choosing, I went with the Damn Good Verge and a Heroes and Obsession Tour. And if I have to, I can always drill a Hero Solid out here. And the Knockout to me was just too clean for what we're going to see out here. But after practicing a little bit today and yesterday, I'm like, I probably could drill a pin down Knockout, kind of get that ball to stop more so than, making it hook down the lane. So I would like to say that a pin down ball does not make it hook earlier.
Thank you.
Just to throw that out there, that's the common conception is I'm going to go pin down and, it's going to hook earlier. Actually, pin up balls actually rev up earlier. So it's going to make the ball hook earlier, essentially. Pin down balls just smooth it out. Kind of give you a little bit different transition off the pattern. So just a little bit to throw out there.
They're slower, which actually means they tend to go a little longer and they're a little more continuous, but they're slower through that motion.
Yes.
The misconception, and we hit this on a bunch of feeds. That's why I said thank you, because we talk about it all the time. Back in the day, I think the misconception so much is a lot of times we went pin down, especially on ASIMs, and we kicked the mass out. We ended up with holes down. And once we got the holes down in the ball with the balance holes, then the ball seemed to, pick up early because of where the hole placement was. We don't have holes anymore, right? We don't get to use balance holes. So we essentially, we got to change our philosophies and understand what pin down's really doing. And slowing it, laying that core over does not make it go earlier. It just doesn't. But the other, the reason I kind of prodded that question and asked you about layouts and stuff is I always think it's good because we talk to so many players on here, and it's pretty much a resonating theme. And just for the consumers out there is to understand that we really do try to keep it simple in terms of layouts. When we're drilling bowling balls and we're allowing the lines that are made by the manufacturers to help dictate us with transitions, right? So we're not trying to muddy the water by having, if we have 20 balls in our bag, we're not going to have 20 different layouts because then we're not going to know what the transition are. It makes it way harder. So when Matt's talking about shapes and aesthetically of things he wants to see, he's looking at shape on the lane with the bowling ball, what he's doing. And again, we talk front to backs, we talk left to right movements, and he's going to make sure that his arsenal makes sense, as he's moving through his bag. And, this is, coming from Matt, who is now down here getting ready for the World Series of Bowling. And probably had a lot of these same balls. Obviously, were in your bag when you bowled the TOC, right? So you're in a long haul here, having to make sure that you got some pretty good balls in the bag here and a lot of versatility.
Yeah, I actually because I don't have a national title, I didn't get to actually bowl the TOC. I bowled the qualifier. I didn't bowl as well as I would like to. I didn't see it right way the first game. And essentially just didn't have enough store behind it to kind of get there. But it was a good, just 8-game practice, essentially, just to kind of learn some more stuff. And then I was, fortunate enough to be able to practice in between squads when I was there. So I tested a couple more balls that I had brought with me. And now I get the benefit of practicing at Kettle this week. Being a graduate of Weber, I get that luxury of being able to go there and practice. So I get some time in with a couple of the coaches just to kind of look at, some physical stuff, just make sure my hand's in the right spot. But going back to what you were saying about bowling balls, I actually have a couple specialty balls essentially on some different pieces, and they just kind of do something different. If you follow my fan page, my athlete page, you'll get to see all, some layouts and ball videos coming up here. But I've drilled a counter attached solid, which would be your, weaker, smooth, symmetrical ball that doesn't flare very much. I've actually put a pretty high pin on it to get it kind of really get down the lane and then kind of go sideways essentially. And then with surface, I can smooth that out and still allow it to continue. So it's actually been one of my favorites. It is purple as well, so it's kind of the theme for me. Purple balls strike more.
Absolutely.
So I think that's kind of where my arsenal is a little bit different. Is sometimes I got those specialty balls, and as I talk to some of the reps, or I talk to a couple of my friends, or bouncing ideas off of people at Brunswick, different layouts come into play of what I want to see, and just trying some different stuff. But it looks like there's a question from Brandon Hinderer about bowling on longer or shorter patterns. That's a tough one. I'd like to say shorter patterns because I get to throw the purple hammer, but then I like to say longer patterns because then I get to throw reactive. So it kind of depends on where we're bowling at and what the format is. If we're bowling more than a couple games, I'd probably say shorter because comparative to the right, the longer patterns tend to get a tad easier on the right side because they just break them down quicker. But if we're bowling, a short game block, I'd take my chances on long because our side doesn't transition as quick. But growing up in the Northeast, I had to learn how to move right and hook it because every center hooked, regardless of where you were at. So when I came down to Florida at college, I immediately was taught to how to stay right of 10. Left of 10. Because that's just that's what the game on the left side is. It's left of 15, rolling it, throwing it a little bit harder. And I'm very thankful that I've gotten to learn that. And now it's just about getting better at it and perfecting it better than it used to be. But I went through grip changes and layouts and different bowling balls to train my hand to naturally kind of roll it more. And then I just got comfortable and I found the purple hammer and the rest is history. But yeah, I would, if I had to pick one or the other, I would definitely say longer patterns where I can use just a little bit wider range of bowling balls, a little bit more layouts and just see my ball do something a little bit different.
Yeah, it's no fun to play 10-5. Come on, Matt.
No,
yeah,
big
not
dot,
at all.
Big dot, second arrow. We've all seen those memes out there of the big dot on the left side of the lane. Whatever I can strike on, that's what I like to bowl on. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody really looks at.
Yeah.
wherever it seems I'm matching up is fine with me. Just tell me what the number is afterwards. But and then obviously you're preparing for, now the World Series, and you got 4 patterns in front of you. And obviously a damn good verge is in there, but what else is in your bag going into the World Series here, Matt?
Well, I definitely got a couple urethane balls in there. 2 purple hammers for sure. I got a U motion. And then I've got an oldie in there. Very fortunate enough to know somebody who has been very good to me, John Janowitz. He's somebody I became friends with when I was down here at Weber, and he was very fortunate enough to lend me a Columbia 300 Stingray. So I've got one of those in my bag. And Jeff, you obviously know that's a huge ball for me.
Yeah.
Something that I've loved since I was probably 17 or 16. And
I
glad
actually
to
think you bought one out. I think you got one off of me too.
I did. That was probably one of the first ones I got. Was from you, and it's pink. I think it rolls incredible. So I'm actually going to drill that for the World Series because of where we're doing. The center hurts a lot, and I think urethane is going to be big. So just to have those different kind of forms of urethane, where the Stingray is obviously older and it's pure urethane, it's traditional, and it's I think they hit a little bit harder. And then obviously the purple hammer is the purple hammer. We don't need any explanation for that ball. And then the U motion is just something that's right in between. I think the U motion is pretty versatile as far as layouts and ball motion goes. Just depends on what you like to see. But those will definitely be in my bag. And then I've got a Pandemonium Solid, which comes out on March 18th. Actually, I think that ball is super good. It is a little bit quicker than a Hero Solid, and I think it's a tad earlier. So for anybody watching, to me, what that means is it's just going to pick up in the mid lane harder, and it's going to be more continuous. Where I think the Hero Solid is just a tad slower, and you kind of can do a little bit more with the Hero Solid. I think the Pandemonium Solid's a tad better when it's dull. And then going from there, I've got a Incognito Pearl, which also comes out on the 18th. That's kind of one of my specialty balls. I've got a super high pin on it. Put that CG right next to the finger holes. Get that ball to kind of rev up pretty hard down the lane. So if we see something a little bit longer and they start to hook a little bit, I can definitely see myself using that ball. Obsession Tour, I have got a DV4 out here as well. I also brought a Counterattack Solid. I'm going to go retro, and I brought a DV8 Dude.
Nice.
That ball is incredible on the weaker side. So when we see some of those shorter patterns that tend to hook a lot, that'll be a ball that I'm going to look at for sure. And then I've also got an Intimidator Pearl. This was one of the first balls that I actually said to myself, I was like, yeah, I will see myself throwing this ball a lot. It's just something different. It's an asymmetrical piece that is not super sideways off the end of the pattern. It's more of a rollier, just pearl ball, and it's not shiny out of the box. Mine was at least not shiny, so I think that helps the cover as well. And I believe that is all I've got. I may have one or two other ones in there that I just haven't thought of, but I've got 13 or 14 balls out here. And just gonna, pick from there. Probably drill a couple during the practice session because of the center that we're bowling at. Like I said earlier, I'd like to have a knockout. I think that ball would be pretty good for where we're bowling at because they hook a lot. And then I also want to drill another urethane ball, just a shorter pin U motion for the cheetah pattern, kind of get that ball to stop and go forward instead of it being too quick down the lane.
Yeah. And, you talked a bit, you referenced it. I mean, every two-handed player is different, but there's some two-handed players are really far up with their PAP. A lot of are down. Or what is your PAP coordinates?
I am 5 1/4. I just measured it. 5 1/4, and I'm like 11/16 up.
Okay, so
it's around. Yeah, it's around there. If Eric Krause was watching, he'd be able to tell you. He's the one that actually measured it. I've got it written down on my phone somewhere. Actually, let me see here.
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking this question because you'll get two-handers on the program and just understanding, and they'll be like, oh, Matt throws it with two hands. I want my bowling ball to be exactly like his. Need to, it's so important everybody understands PAP. I mean, with your PAP being up, Matt's flaring away from the finger holes. Okay. Whereas, some other two-handed players that get their hand around it a little differently, you'll get a lot that are 5.5 over and 1.5 down, and, they're clipping finger holes or, Matt's track's honestly going the other way a little bit. So
yeah, mine is
really
exactly 5.5, 5 over by 1 1/4 up. That is exactly what it is.
Right. And that's pretty, close to what we'll call, usually you're either 1.5 up or 1.5 down as a close or a flare safe layout for two-handed players. And not every two-handed player is the same either. Some use their thumb, some do not use their thumb. Matt, you put your thumb in it?
I do. Yeah. I've actually messed around without my thumb. And it's absolutely terrible. My ball goes dead end over end. It's got about 100 less RPMs. It just doesn't feel comfortable. So I'm sticking with it. You can't pay me enough money to take it out. So
obviously you've had enough success in your young career here to justify there's not really a lot of reason to pull it out of there. But you know what? If the game ever adapts and it heads a different direction, you, along with every other player, is going to do what it takes to kind of stay, on top of what, you're doing to make your game what it is.
I can't forget. I do have a couple damn good verges out here. Obviously, that's the ball that we're talking about. So I for sure have one, if not two, out here. I like I said, I think that ball is very good. And being on the DV8 side of them of the brands, I try and put as many DV8 balls as I can in my arsenal. I feel like that's part of my job is to promote that company. So I do what I can. Obviously, we've got a wide selection of balls that we can pick from. But what has helped me the most is staying in the Brunswick family with Brunswick Radical and DV8. I want to learn all the balls. I want to see what fits my game the best, and then drill those pieces just to fit in between, or just get another look from another brand. But I have stuck with mainly the brands of Brunswick, to kind of put my arsenal together, and then interchange balls as I see that I need to.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us are doing something similar to that. I mean, obviously, I'm flying my my logo here, and I really do drill a lot of hammer balls. I mean, honestly, first and foremost, I mean, aesthetically, they match my eye pretty well, and it sounds like you're kind of the same school of thought. I really migrate towards solid color bowling balls. So when I do go outside of the hammer brands, it's usually into balls, like we're saying, like a knockout, like something like a Damn Good Verge that's a solid color. I'm not one that likes the super loud multiple color balls because I'll be honest with you, I can't read them. Or maybe they're telling me I am throwing it bad and I just don't want to see that. It might be that more than anything. I'll stick with a solid color bowling ball. Give me black, give me purple, something along those lines. Just aesthetically, it just looks better. But again, I think on top of it, like what you're saying there, and staying within their brand, yeah, it's awesome. We have 7 brands we can choose from. We have unlimited ball motions available to us, but we also don't want to make it too confusing on ourselves, where we have so many pieces from so many different lines that are, when they're engineered with a specific reason to fit within that particular brand family, that you end up with overlap, or something that's a little too close, or maybe it ends up with a bigger gap between the balls that you had intention to, because that's just how they fit in that line versus crossing into multiple lines. So, but again, that's something you really want to work with your pro shop operator. Obviously, if you're not local to me to kind of talk through that and help, or in Matt's area back in Illinois, where you guys are drilling balls, or even down at Kegel and stuff down there in Florida. You want to get yourself hooked up with a good pro shop operator that can really work with you to ensure that you're getting the best bowling ball in your hand for what your need is. Because we do a lot of these videos, and we hit, all the national staffers graciously come on here and take time out to talk about them. But all of us that are talking here want one thing for you, the consumer, and that's to put the right bowling ball in your hand for you to maximize your scores and enjoy this game. Okay, because that's what it's really all about. And good evening there, Dave Simmons. Glad you're on the program here, bud.
Yeah, and Jeff, I'd be happy to help anybody who has any questions about any of the balls. If I don't know the answer, I know somebody who is on our staff who will know the answer. And if they don't know the answer, I for sure can find out one way or another from somebody over at headquarters, or somebody who happens to design the bowling balls. So that is something I'd be willing to do. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to either message Jeff and Jeff can get to me, or if you want to go ahead and shoot me a message on my athlete page, that is something that I post, every day, or at least every other day. I'm looking at it all the time. So those would be the 2 best ways to contact me. I'd be glad to answer questions, talk about bowling balls, anything that I can do to help, for sure.
Yep. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for. As representatives for the staffs that we represent, we're here to support you in any way possible. And it's very easy to find us. I mean, social media is an amazing tool. We say this kind of a bit. I mean, here we are. I'm in Pennsylvania, Matt's in Florida, and our smiling faces are on here. And this could have happened when I was a kid. It's not make fun of my age here, Matt, but I'm getting pretty old. So this was not, I had to pick up the phone and hope somebody answered it, and hope they had a answering machine. That's how old I am. But it's amazing because you have at your fingertips, you have so much ability to gain knowledge about the game, whether it's about the balls, whether it's, instructional videos, and asking questions of, the industry leaders that are willing and able to help you at the drop of a dime. And, and again, Matt, what is a direct link to? It's just Matt Russo athlete page. Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can. It's Matthew Russo essentially. That's my bowling page. If you're doing the at symbol, it's at Matthew Russo Bowling. Two easiest ways to find me. The picture that you'd see on my profile is the one that Jeff has in the background up there. Those are the two easiest ways to find my page. Be the best way to contact me for sure.
Great.
And I will say, sorry, but I will say, since we are talking about the Damn Good Verge, I will give a shout out to Chris Ketzlow, who put on an absolute clinic on the show with this bowling ball. I think he bowled 800 or 790 or something the first three games of this ball. This was the first time anybody really saw this ball on TV outside of the Players Championship qualifying. And I think it speaks volumes that two guys from our staff that made the show had this ball in their hands. And I think that, speaks to how good the ball is. And Chris used it across the whole entire lane. And so did Michael as well. So I think that says something about how good it is and how.
And I'm pretty sure, I think Timmy Foy threw it too.
Yes, he might. I didn't watch that show. I wasn't around to.
Fortunately, he had 300 bowled at him, but I'm pretty sure he threw it and might have bowled 240 or 250.
240,
yeah. It's crazy how good this ball performed.
And we had guys throwing it at the TOC. I know Parker threw it on his side of the lane. Andrew Anderson gave it a look for one of his blots as well. I don't know about any of our other guys, but that's just kind of, been what I've seen so far on the tour. I can guarantee it's going to get some play at the World Series. There will at least be somebody, if not more than one person, throwing this ball this week because it is very versatile. And it just does all the right things as you move across the lane. So definitely the name speaks for itself. Damn Good Verge is exactly what the ball is. It's damn good.
Absolutely. And Matt, kind of to, wrap it up, we talked about kind of, the World Series, where people can find you. Obviously, with bowling finally coming back, I mean, outside of the World Series, what else is on the bowling calendar so far for you?
U.S. Open and Masters is actually right at the end of March and starting in April over in Reno, Nevada. So after we leave Florida, I'll be heading home for a couple of days, getting some more balls together, and then heading out to Reno for a couple of weeks. And then that's it. That's all of what I know. Not really sure about a summer tour. Don't really know what events are happening. That's still kind of up in the air. There is a new announcement for the regional invitational that they're having, which I thought was fantastic. So that's a drive there to bowl some regionals starting in April. But if I do make the top 50 in points, I am no longer eligible for that. So I would like to make the top 50, which ultimately would be better than, for me having to bowl all these regionals. But that's all of what I know. Going to be bowling a bunch of local stuff, bowling league on Fridays and Mondays. I'm going to head out to USBC Nationals for a couple of days. A friend of mine back home. Actually, it's my fiance's brother's girlfriend's dad. That's a mouthful.
That sounded like a reference from Spaceballs. I mean,
yeah, he's actually watching. John added. He asked me if I would like to bowl nationals with him and his friends. So it's a fun tournament. It's a good one to go out there and bowl. It's at the stadium, so how can I not bowl? Essentially, so I'm excited for that. That'll be in June. As long as the women's tour is still going on, Lauren will be out on tour bowling her events. So I'll be there supporting her when I can, if not from home.
If
but
they allow us.
Yeah, exactly. If they allow us, and I know Carrie's bowling as well. So it'll just be a lot of supporting and waiting to see what the calendar has, and just staying ready on the lanes. I'm getting into doing some ball videos and product stuff as well. So just staying involved as much as I can. While everything's either opening up or we're trying to open up, so we'll see where it goes. But I'm super excited that the World Series is happening. It's something I've never bowled before, actually. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, I was honestly this close to coming down for the PTQ, but I put on my thinking cap, and I am extremely busy at the shop still, even this late into the first quarter here. And it didn't really make sense to go down there and to do it right now. But hopefully, I was going to bowl the Masters, but with some of the restrictions and stuff with the Masters, it didn't make a lot of sense for me. Just to kind of make that. But I'm looking forward, hopefully, to next year. But absolutely, that RPI thing that came out, an extra 20,000 and bringing that program back for the regionals. Hoping that we see a lot more attendance at the regionals. It's still an uncertain time here, but the regional scene and the things that the PBA is doing between Collie and everybody there. Bowling's on the uptick, and I couldn't be more excited to see it. And obviously, the guys of your caliber and the national players out there. Obviously, it's a good thing to see the prize funds and the tournaments and everything and the offerings that are coming back. Just to see kind of what I'll say is, the rise of bowling again, and I think it's awesome, and it's now is the time to really be supporting it. And you're right in the youth of your career there, my man. So you're hitting it at the right time.
Yeah, I've been very lucky. Being able to grow up with two of probably the best to ever throw the bowling ball between Parker Bowen and Johnny Petraglia. I've always had good influences in that part of the aspect. And when I moved to Illinois, I actually have another job. Bowling is not my, is my job that I'd like to have as a main job. But I actually work at Best Buy, which most people don't even know. But it's more of a income sort of reason, because the bowling season isn't all year. So I obviously need somebody to support my family and, support myself. And I've been very fortunate and very grateful that my leaders and management at Best Buy are very invested in bowling, and they're very invested in my career and have allowed me to leave and, leave all that there and come out here and compete. And they're very supportive. They tune in, they watch. So to me, it makes it all worth it. When you've got the right support system and you've got the people behind you and you do what you love, it makes it all, worth it. And obviously I wouldn't be out here without Lauren being at home supporting, me from home and holding it down back there while I'm out here. And, the role reverses when she comes out on tour. But without a support system and without, the right backing and being in the right group of people, to me, it wouldn't be possible for me to be out here. So I'm just very grateful to have the right, people behind me. And I can't thank everybody at Brunswick enough for, taking me under their wing and, supporting me out here on tour.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's it's an awesome family to be affiliated with. And, there's two guys you mentioned from back in the Jackson Howell area. Yeah, I'd say that was a pretty good influence in your youth there. And, I always tell myself, I'm obviously pretty close with Parker as well. And if I ever have any thoughts in my head, I always put myself and I say, what would Parker do? And then I know what the right answer is.
Yes.
I really think we need to do some branded shirts with this, and just have Parker's face and just say, what would Parker do? I think they would sell.
I
think
obviously,
awesome.
I mean, when I'm out here, he's like a second father to me. And I can't forget about my parents either. Obviously, yeah. What about my mom? Yeah, my parents have done so much for me. Whether it's supporting my career or being out here and supporting me. And it kind of just comes full circle. Obviously, when they get to be there to win. If I can share a story, Jeff.
Sure.
when I was getting engaged, that was the reason they were going out to team trials, was for me to be engaged, to watch me propose. They weren't even going to stay for the whole tournament. I ended up winning the event, and they were there to, be able to see that, and ever since I lost my grandfather back in 2018, who was by far the biggest supporter I ever had, it meant a lot for me to have people there supporting me and just being there. So when they were there, it was just a full circle moment that, they were there for one reason, and I ended up turning into, probably the best week of my life. But, when I'm out here with Parker, it's always, what would Parker do? How would he act? Or, what would he say? Or how would he be around the fans? Or, would he make this choice? And I think that's just the mindset that, if you have an influence like that, or you have a supporter like somebody like him, who's won the sportsmanship award twice, and who has had a long career out here and knows how to be around the players and and just gives the right advice. Um, he's probably what has helped me most when I'm out here, with just the mental side of it, of just understanding that not every week is going to be the best, and
Mhm.
with sometimes how different the lanes can be between right and left side of the lane. It's frustrating at times when it doesn't always go the way that you want it to go when you're left-handed or when you're right-handed. But just having the right people tell you the right things, Parker wouldn't get mad, so I'm not going to get mad either. There's no point.
Nope.
It's what can you learn, and just move on from the next week. So we actually bowled a tournament on Saturday where the approaches were like stepping in syrup. It literally was. I
Oh
feel like
wow.
I was bowling on rubber. I couldn't slide, and Parker was bowling next to me, and we were laughing because we were trying to slide, and I'm throwing it 3 steps from the second set of dots, just like slow rolling it up the middle of the lane. We were bowling on sharp, so it helped because my ball didn't hook to like the last 5 feet anyway. But it's just seeing him enjoy it, and just trying to make the most of it. Like, to me, like that's how I need to look at it. Like, obviously I'm here to win. I'm here to make money. I'm here to, have an income for my family. But at the end of the day, if I'm having a good time and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, there's no reason to be mad. Obviously, I'd be disappointed. I'd be upset, but I don't see the reason to ever get mad.
Yeah, you may be disappointed, you may be down, but again, you're living out what you dreamed of as a kid. And whenever you can have that and you can embrace it, you can touch it, you can feel it, and it's right there. You got to also take a step back and remember to enjoy it as well. I recently, Matt, made a plunge from not working the corporate world anymore and completely devoted myself to my small little 8-lane training center here in the shop and everything. And I have never been happier in my entire life
Mhm.
because you take a step back and you start to kind of realize and embrace what's really important, right? And you hit some good ones there when you talked about family and wanting them there and things along those lines, and then learning to enjoy the moments and stuff. So I think so often as players or any sport that we're involved in, especially when you start to get kind of a lead or you start to get ahead at it, you need to put it into perspective just how blessed you are to be where you're at, right? Um, you would, right now you're kicking back in Florida in a beautiful. It sounds like almost one of the houses I was in, which was I don't even know how the other side lives, but that's how I felt I lived for that week. You're enjoying
Yeah.
it right now. You're kind of you're living it out, and um, that's where you kind of put it into perspective as you're sitting in that heated pool, going, you know what, this is all right. This is the things that I've wanted to do, and where this game has taken me, and where it's going to take you moving forward. I mean, it's just an awesome, awesome game to be involved in.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have said any better. Every day I wake up and I'm like, yeah, I'm really in Florida. Like, I'm working, but I'm here. It's an off week, and I get to spend it in Florida. I'm still practicing, but at the end of the day, I come home to, a fantastic place to stay. I've gotten to see some family while I'm here as well. So it's just been it's something I really enjoy. I do enjoy traveling, but the most part of it is I just enjoy bowling. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what most people need to understand is that you just have to enjoy it. You have to love bowling. You have to love the process of getting to be better. You have to love the process of getting to know your equipment, getting to know your game, and you've got to work hard. There's not everybody that's going to wake up and become Anthony Simonson. You're not going to turn into Belmo, but you have to enjoy the process of working harder to be who you want to be competitive, to where you can beat them or have a chance to beat them, because anybody is beatable, and they are human. And I think that's what people need to understand is Belmo is human. Is
Yep.
he the best player in the world? Absolutely. Will he probably be the best player ever? I believe so. But he's also human. And that's something that you need to understand is just because you may not be as good as him right now, it doesn't mean you can either get there or at least try and get there. And I'm looking at it as every week I gain more and more confidence that, I belong out here and that I can compete. And you got to find those moments, when you're bowling a block and, they're hard, and then you figure them out, and then you bowl 250 and you're like, wow, like, I can actually do this, or, this is where I belong. And it all depends on the guys that you hang out with. The work ethic that they put in will also influence what you do as well. So I found a great group of people out here who I room with. And, I couldn't ask for a better time. We have a lot of fun when we're not bowling, but when it gets down to it, we're always talking bowling, or I never leave the topic, whether we're hanging out outside at the pool or we're having dinner or we're just, watching a movie. There's always some sort of bowling that's going on about talk or Arsenal or, oh, I should have tried this ball yesterday, or I'm going to try this ball tomorrow, or, I think this ball will fit. So I think that's where you become better, is just gaining all the knowledge that you possibly can. I mean, walking into a pro shop and just listening to people talk, that also helps as well. And there's a lot of people out there who know what they're talking about. And I think you just have to be open to getting suggestions and open to just wanting to become better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. I love the passion. I love the process. I love, everything about it. And I think it's awesome at such a young age that you've kind of embraced that. I feel like, you're the type of player and the individual that's gonna show, or a pathway to some of the other younger players coming up through the ranks, just to see of how, when you stay within the process, what it's going to yield X, Y, and Z. Won a lot of stuff. I wholeheartedly expect to see you on a show in the near future. That's not to add pressure. Matt knows I'm not saying it for that reason. I'm
Yeah.
saying that because I really feel like Matt possesses the game that is just waiting for that breakout performance you're going to see at the national level. And whether it's at the World Series or it's at another event this year, or, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen at some point, because the mentality matches the physical ability. And when you put those two together and you learn to truly win, that's when it all comes out. And I can't wait to see it, man. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see it. And I'm so glad to have you back as a teammate again. Never really changed anything as we saw each other, but it's awesome that you're back in the family again here, and we're all behind you, my man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm a firm believer that when the time is right, it'll come. I thought I was ready to win last year when I made the run at the show in Indy, but just wasn't the right time, and I'm a firm believer in that. And then at the Players, I just didn't have enough score, but I didn't feel like it was my time. So I'm a firm believer that when it's supposed to happen, it will, and I've just got to keep plugging at it. I've got like I said, I've got the right people behind me that have helped me mentally, that have helped me physically, and I'm just learning every week that we're out here. The first week, my first year on tour was a complete kick in the teeth. It was bowling PTQs every week. It was getting through that. And then it was learning how good you have to be. These guys out here are incredible. There's really no other way to say it. They are very good. They know how to win. They find a way, and they dig deep when they have to. So, and I think the great moment, Maldonado bowled 300 to make the cut at the TOC. So,
That was awesome.
people come out of nowhere, and that's kind of where you got to learn and, just enjoy those pressure moments. Yeah, am I nervous every time I go out there and bowl? Yeah, but that means it means something. The nerves are good because that means you want it. It means you want to succeed. And I just love it so much. I eat, sleep, and breathe bowling. It's probably too much sometimes because I'm always thinking about bowling balls, or, what can I do to be better, or, watching TV shows, or, ball videos, or just friends that I have that are bowling. So I'm always involved one way or another.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that you said Maldy. I had Dino on last week, and even Dino said, for Maldy, what makes that even crazier is Maldy was hurt, and he literally practiced like one day before going down to the TOC, and goes down there and bowls 300 to make it the cut. I mean, it's just crazy how good these players are. You got to respect it. But anyway, Matt, I'm just like you, man. I could talk about bowling for hours, but obviously, 50 minutes into a broadcast, at some point we'll start losing people.
Yeah.
But I also want to make sure that the guys in the other room that are expecting you for the basketball game, are going to get you back. But there's one.
We got plenty of time. The game don't start till 10. So
yeah, there's one thing that I always say at the end of every one of these broadcasts, and before it's even thank you for coming on the program, is we talk about bowling, gang. We all love bowling. At the end of each one of these, I tell you to make sure you go support your local proprietors, your pro shops, small business in general. by all means, make sure you're taking advantage of some great things and supporting these guys by signing up for flow bowling and things you can get your hands on and watching the telecast as we're in the limelight with Fox. Again, you'll feel those moving parts of how this game is really growing. But remember, locally here, the centers in your area need you right now. We need to be bowling extra games out there, supporting them, making sure that the houses we have remaining stay intact and they're supported. And by all means, support our brands, right? Support DV8, support Hammer and the other brands of Brunswick, and support bowling in general, gang, because it's you guys all love it as much as we do.
We do have a question. I've been looking at the chat.
No problem.
Jonathan End. I don't. Sorry if I butcher your name. Question: how does the Damn Good Verge compare to the Obsession Tour? Well, I will say, obviously, the Damn Good Verge is symmetrical. The Obsession Tour is asymmetrical, but with that lower intermediate diff, it actually can turn into a symmetrical ball. I think the Damn Good Verge is cleaner and a little bit sharper off the pattern, but it is also a smooth ball. I'm sorry, the Obsession Tour is cleaner, a little bit sharper off the friction, but it is still a smooth ball. It's not like a hockey stick motion or a sharp motion. It's very kind of smooth, but it's quick. It's a quicker, smooth motion where the Damn Good Verge is just earlier. It's a little bit more rolly. So I think the Obsession Tour will be that ball that you use later on in the block when you're kind of opening your angles up a little bit, whereas the Damn Good Verge would be that more fresh ball when the lanes are pretty hard and you need that consistent front to back motion that pits up in the right spot.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very good synopsis of that as well, especially with the Obsession Tour. Man, do I threw that ball a lot.
Yes.
I liked it. I describe that one as it's a web tour hybrid on steroids. It gives me that shape with a little bit of asymmetry in there. Very similar, like you cross over and you get into some of the track lines, you get into kinetic cores, things like that. I mean, heck, that kinetic core is even lower intermediate diff. I think it's like 0.006 or something. I mean, it's, but remember, folks, anytime you put holes in a ball, you are adding asymmetry to it. So
yes,
even a symmetric ball, right? Once you put a hole in it, that core, same thing goes for when we're talking about plug balls, and I could do a whole segment on that, but we're not going to go there right now. But,
Obsession Tour is incredible. I know we're talking about the Damn Good Verge, and I don't want people to get the wrong thing that one's better than the other, but don't sleep on that ball. I will tell you, and you really can't see it when it's on flow, but that ball was thrown a lot at the TOC. Definitely something that we're going to see a lot at the World Series. When I first got to throw it, when I was over in Michigan doing some ball videos, my mouth was wide open. I couldn't believe it. I honestly had never thrown a ball like this one. I had never seen somebody do what that ball does. I still have the same one that I drilled back in Michigan. It just rolls so good. And I know if I drill another one, it's not going to do the same exact thing in a good way. It'll be just a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But don't sleep on either of them. The Damn Good Verge is damn good. I keep saying, it really is that good. And I'd be the first one to be honest with everybody when they ask me about a bowling ball. Is it really as good as? Yes. I'll tell you if I don't like a piece or not. I think that goes a long way with people instead of just having to sell them tons of product. Being honest about bowling balls, and you can kind of see what works on tour and what doesn't, and what people throw as well. That kind of is a baseline of what's pretty good out there. But both are fantastic choices. Just they're both used for different things. So if you're looking for that earlier ball motion, kind of smoother, a little bit more versatile, that's the Damn Good Verge. If you're looking for that kind of open your angles up, a little bit longer, a little bit sharper, smooth motion at the end of the pattern, Obsession Tour. So you really can't go wrong with either choices. It just depends on where you're trying to fit it in your game.
Right. Make sure it's fitting that bag. That's what it's all about. We don't buy bowling balls just to buy new ones. Well, we shouldn't be anyway. They all have a purpose. It's like a golfer having, I'm not going to go out and put 3 8-irons in my bag. Maybe Matt Gasson would. I don't know. That guy buys golf clubs more than anybody I've ever seen in my life. I don't think Matt's on, but somebody will tell him I made fun of him for it, but
Yeah, I'll let him
is.
know. I'll let him know.
It is what it is. But again, Matt, I wish you all the luck, man. We're at that 55-minute mark, so we're gonna cut the feed off for the night here. But definitely enjoy a little bit more of the downtime before it's go time there. And we'll be following along the action. And by all means, make sure you like Matt's athlete page, follow along anything he has there. Everyone out there, we have so many followers through our YouTube channel and through the Pure page. But do us a favor, go on over to our YouTube page, just the Pure Bowling channel. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button, and we'll have hours of content from top name pros. Wisdom Wednesday sections. You'll get Throw It Thursdays. You'll get to see this ball in action this Thursday. I got a couple testers coming in to throw it for you, and you'll be able to, kind of see it on the lanes for yourself, what we talked about tonight. So, Matt, any last items for you that you want to throw out there before we?
Jeff, how many subscribers do you need for like 1,000? Are you close to 1,000?
We're not close to 1,000 yet. We only started launching this about, 2.5 months ago when we really started doing a lot of podcasts and stuff. But we're a little closer to the 500 number.
All right. Well, if you get to 500, if I get the okay, we'll give away a Damn Good Verge. I'd like to do that.
Awesome.
So I'm sure it'll be fine. I will let you know for sure. So people watching, go ahead and make sure you keep following that Pure page. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. But Jeff will definitely give away a Damn Good Verge on behalf of myself. So I'll make sure we get one out there. But we'll run a contest, some sort of thing like that.
Awesome.
But once you hit 500, let me know, and we'll go ahead and do that giveaway.
Sounds great, my man. All right. Thank you, everybody out there that has tuned in and taken some time out to hear me and Matt kind of go back and forth here a little bit. Get out there and get yourself a DV8 Damn Good Verge. And by all means, buy Brunswick branded bowling balls. And we'll see you next time. Tune in tomorrow night. We are doing a Wisdom Wednesday section on wrist braces, kind of one that's been asked for. So I'm going to review it for you tomorrow. But until then, have a good evening, everybody. And we'll see you soon. Take care now.